Well, welcome back to another episode of Meet the Artist. This is our weekly installment of artist podcast. We record them as part of the event where artists come into the studio and share their knowledge with their fans. It's every week, and it's at the Tucson Gallery in downtown Tucson, 300 East Congress. We are located inside of the Proper Shops. We're across the street from Hotel Congress, next to the Rialto Theater Pub. You can't really miss us. We're down where it's all happening, and we're inside of a fabulous building here with all kinds of merchants. You can check out more information about the gallery on our website, tucsongallery.com. And while you're there, you can check out these past episodes with all these fabulous artists. And most importantly, you can sign up for our newsletter and find out when your favorite artist is going to be live here in the studio. And had you signed up, you would know that your favorite artist, Casey, is going to be in the studio today.
Hey.
So we've got Casey. He is a photographer by trade, I think, but he's a magician by night. We're going to see how he puts all this stuff together. Casey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So you have your art with us is kind of interesting, and it's multi. There's a lot of different layers that go into this, and it's done with photography and painting and like woodworking and stuff like that. So you're
quite
kind
extensive.
You're kind of busy, but what is your day job? What do you do when you're not?
Full time. I'm a full time photographer.
Okay,
I've been doing that 8 years now, full time. Primarily, it was weddings, events, portrait work, working with people. But I really enjoy scenery, capturing sunsets, just what nature has to offer. So when I'm able to incorporate those two, say people, a couple, and then put them in nature with a nice sunset, that's kind of my forte.
Okay.
So I do a lot of weddings with these epic scenic views, engagement shoots, family shoots, portraits for just couples, individuals. But when I'm out and about by myself, I like to go venture out sometimes at night, late, midnight, look at the night skies. Sometimes I'll go out during sunset just to get that sunset or just to get that sunrise. So that was kind of like the hobby side of photography. But ultimately, I dove into real estate photography in 2019, pretty tough. And that has kept us busy. So between doing weddings and events and real estate photography, I'm consumed with the camera.
Okay,
So,
I get that. And then the art that you create, then this is a photograph, and it's inset in a shadow box. But then you've done all the the paint. You've painted the box itself too.
yeah,
right?
so pretty much to describe the product, it's Pop's art. I called it that after creating the product. So I created the product first without a name, and it kind of speaks for itself. It's like pop art, but it does pop out at you. But what it is it's a 3D cut saguaro or a cactus, whatever the cactus might be. But that the shape of that 3D cut, I say 3D cut, but it's actually plywood, and I use a laser to cut the shape of the cactus to match the shape of the photo. So I have to go out and get a nice photo of a saguaro, like our showstopper. That's kind of like the first one to debut with Pops, and get that and kind of cut it out, as you would say in the photo, and then match that to a wood piece about a 1/4 inch thick of plywood. Put those two together to create this 3D saguaro. And then I actually had to figure out a way to bracket and mount that saguaro. So it's in a shadow box, and it's not just floating around. It's not just pasted. It's nice and sturdy. So it is bracketed in a shadow box made of wood. And then the backdrop is just a solid, vibrant color with acrylic paint. And I use a medium to thicken up the acrylic, so it's more of like a stucco. So it gives it extra dimension. The colors are kind of endless. I've been experimenting with those.
That is just like so much work
to
put
a lot
together
of work,
a single piece. And then you've got them in different sizes too. You've got small, medium, large. I think you've got some huge ones, which we haven't seen.
I'm trying to go life size. Like if I could, my goal, which is a goal by the end of the year here, is to have maybe like a 6 or 7 foot saguaro framed.
Wow.
Pop's art with a nice canvas background that maybe be a solid color, or it could possibly have some gradients to resemble a sunset. I'm barely dabbling into the painting side of things. Being a professional photographer, I've definitely learned my lighting and technique as far as highlights, shadows, and really that's all photos are, is highlights and shadows and the contrast between the dynamic range. So when I dabble into painting, it's a new thing for me. It's so hard to achieve that result that I desire. But what's beautiful about what I've created here with Pops is most of my backgrounds so far are just solid colors. So I have the opportunity to create a color that I desire, a nice, vibrant, poppy color, and just apply that to a canvas. And with that, it's not that there's no skill behind that, but it takes less skill than being a meticulous, detailed painter. I think most of the detail comes in the photography, which I do specialize in.
Yeah, I could imagine you would drive yourself nuts trying to, you're a perfectionist, so you would drive yourself nuts trying to get all these different colors to match what your vision is. So you got into photography professionally, and you're doing this as a hobby. Which came first? Was it the passion for the artistic side, and then you said, hey, I need to make some money, or was it I need to make some money, and then you're like, you know what, this actually kind of leads me into my artistic side?
Yeah, so this was entirely very sporadic. It was just a vision and idea that I had. I was doing real estate photography at a paid job, a very nice home up in Catalina Foothills. I saw a canvas print of a cactus with a black background. And then it wasn't a full cactus. It was like an arm of a saguaro. And it just struck my eye because it was so appealing and I hadn't seen anything like it. So I start to dissect it, like on the photography and just on the technical side. Like, how did they capture this? Is it a photo? Is it a painting? And I realized, okay, it is a photo. But what they did was they took a photo at night with a flash where they illuminate the cactus. Therefore, the background's just black.
Okay.
You have nothing, which looked cool.
Right, yeah.
So I said, let's try something. But that just triggered me to thinking even further, like, hey, maybe I could make something where the color's like crazy, right? Like not black, but purple, pink,
right.
Yellow, green, blue, And like I've seen a lot of photos with saguaros, but usually you'll see like a night sky or a sunset or a blue sky. So you have a few different colors in that range. You've got blue skies. Sunsets here in Arizona are beautiful. It could really be any color of the rainbow. But for the most part, they're like oranges and kind of purples, reds, pretty warm.
And then when did the 3D element come into it?
Well, so I knew it had to pop out. So originally I was like cutting out foam, trying to match it with my photo to extrude it from another photo. So I was stacking a photo on a photo and extruding it by about a 1/4 inch. But it looked too
what is that word again?
To extrude.
Extrude.
I learned that back in college working on Maya 3D.
I went to the wrong college. What does that mean?
So to extrude something is to pull away, I guess.
Okay. So you create depth. You create depth with the picture. So it's like two pictures with a spacer in between it.
Yeah.
Spacer. That's the word us dumb kids use.
Yeah, I guess it's a spacer. Yeah. It adds depth. So I knew there needed to be depth. So what I was doing was pasting a photo on a photo, but I would add depth by using foam core.
We call it extruding.
We would extrude it. And
look how smart I am.
But it looks so crafty and cool. And I actually have one in my house too. It's got the 3 colors. It's like pink, teal, and yellow, and they're like the foam sticking out. If you go to the side of the photo, you can really see like the foam. It looks kind of crafty.
Okay.
But when I looked at that, it didn't satisfy me because with not being a perfectionist, because I hate to claim that title, but I do strive to perfect a lot of things.
You have a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah, exactly. That's a better way to put it. But I wanted it to be much better. I wanted it to be like presentable in an art gallery, presentable to a point where it's like, wow, this is like kind of realistic, even though it's so far-fetched where it's not real.
Right.
So to achieve that, I was just like process after process, trial and error, using the foam. Finally I said, forget the foam. I need to just cut some, like with a laser, precision again. To get those edges perfect. So that way you see the side of the cactus and it matches with the photo. It's like a 3D cactus. So I looked around and finally found someone that could cut for me. So I sent the files. They had some prototypes, matched my photo perfectly. And that was the original saguaro. So we ran a batch of 100 to start with. And each of those 100, she actually cut my Lisa V Designs is actually my supplier for that. She's amazing. She does more than just wood cuts. She designs wedding things and swag gear using engraving, anything with wood and lasers. She does it. So she's kind of my source when I need to order a batch, a large batch. But in the meantime, I was like, I need to order my own laser so I could cut my own prototypes, figure it out. But once I got the 100 on my hands, I had to order 100 prints, cut 100 prints, paste them to the wood. On top of that, the wood is just wood, so I also paint the wood black so it blends more with the photo. But yeah, just getting the actual cactus by itself in that 3D module is the hardest part.
And you do then, so you've got the saguaro, the agave, and the prickly pear.
So 3 currently. I wanted to start with 5. I wanted a cholla as well, and then I also wanted to have a barrel cactus.
Okay.
I shot both. The barrel cactus, the shape isn't that appealing, to be honest. The reason I think the Pops Art so cool is because the shape of saguaros or agaves or any cactus are so unique. There's not really any items in our day-to-day world other than cactus that resemble that. Maybe a palm tree.
Interesting, yeah. Okay.
So when you look at it, it's the shape more than anything. So when I cut out a barrel cactus shape minus the photo, it's just like a half circle. It doesn't look that great. It's you know.
Okay.
So it didn't excite me much. Now maybe a barrel cactus with tons of vibrant fruit just bursting out of it might be pretty neat. So I do want to do that. And then the prickly pear or the cholla, it's so thin in some areas. Trying to cut like a 3D wood and then match the photo to it, it's almost impossible.
Okay.
So I'm limited currently to some of those.
Okay.
So
I
for now,
confidence in you finding a way through some of this stuff.
But I think with the 3 for now, it's a great opportunity because with just having 3 cactus, I also have 3 sizes. And then we also have 12 colors.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that will buy them in different sets, and they'll find ways to mix and match them either by color or by style, or they want one of each, or they want different sizes because they've got different places. So they come together in a lot of different ways. And you mentioned earlier, you kind of want to be realistic, but also very not realistic. And it is interesting because people will stare at them for a while to try to figure out what's happening here, because it kind of looks in some ways like it's fantasy, and then sometimes no, that's a photo, but the way it all comes together, it kind of tricks the mind.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch people stare at them.
Yeah, and I get caught staring at them as well. You know, we'll walk into a gallery, or if I see more than one piece, it's like wow, and it's bigger than just I created that, but it's like that's the vision I'd aim for is to create that, and it's done. So ideally, my goal is to definitely expand the product variety beyond just those 3 cactus or cacti.
Anything out of the natural world? I mean, anything else that
other than like cactus?
Yeah.
So I love Hawaii.
Okay.
And I have a vision, maybe one day having Pops Art out there, and it would just be Hawaiian. So I'm
business trip.
Yeah, the surfboards. I think the pineapples would be a big hit. You have those in the tourist store.
The pineapples would be fabulous.
If I get a contract with ABC stores, that's all I need. I might be able to retire off of that. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
Just kidding on that, but mainly I think to brand it, I think I just want to keep it at just like cactus. It's Arizona.
Okay.
I think if it does grow bigger than what it is or what it's deemed now, like say just locally here in Tucson, if I'm able to grow all throughout Arizona as a brand, as a product of Pops Art, and it's known for what it is. I think that would be amazing because it just represents everything I've kind of built for me up to here with the photography, with business, and then being able to just express myself through the arts and stay up late nights painting canvases, different random colors that appeal to my eye. And even the assembly part's rewarding because that's when everything comes together. The color of the canvas, the choice of the cactus, the size of the frame, and then I have the final product.
Yeah, so much thought into each and every piece. It's really quite amazing. And you come at this from a different background than a lot of artists that we talk to because you started with a business mindset. So you were really aggressive about getting this product out into the market and advertising it and marketing it, social media events. You're doing a really nice job with putting that out there. So if you're not, I mean, where do people follow you? Like on social media and Instagram and all that stuff?
So we have social media. Pops Art social media just was established in March. So it's a couple months in. We're really trying to build a following, but we're on like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So those are the 3 main ones. And aside from that, I've also got my real estate photography. Running all 3 of those: Instagram, Facebook. Whatever, the TikTok.
And what's the brand on that?
So the brand for the real estate's Lux Realty Photography.
Lux,
okay. Luxe. Yeah. So last year was our biggest year. It was just crazy with real estate. I had a team of 5 photographers. I think we closed on we shot about 500 homes last year. So just between my team, myself, I have editors in India. We've created a formula since 2019 when it was established to be able to really deliver a great service and product with the real estate. So that's really consumed me. That is more to my day-to-day job because weddings aren't Monday through Friday. they're usually Friday through Sunday, which usually I'm not working Friday, Saturday, Sunday doing weddings. I would just be drained, ridiculous. So where I'm at now, I did a wedding show at TCC a little while back. I generated quite a few leads from that, and that was amazing. Booked some weddings, and I'm not necessarily focusing on growing that because I've got quite a portfolio, and I've been doing that the longest. But with the real estate, that's kind of my main focus again, because it is the day-to-day operations. And then when it comes to the artwork, it's kind of where I can meditate late night. Kids are asleep, family's winding down. I've got some quiet time, and again, I could just paint.
That was going to be your perfect segue into my next question, which is we always like to give tidbits to people that are trying to figure out their path in life. You're getting this figured out, but what kind of guidance do you have for someone that's trying to manage that balance of, man, I've got these full-time restrictions on my time because of my job and what I have to do, but I also have this passion, but you're fitting that in at different times, and use the word, it's like meditation. It's your relaxation.
Yeah. So it's very hard juggling time. I mean, it's still a challenge every day, but I think starting Lux Realty Photography back in 2019 and trying to build a team and operating a team, I realized then that being in that industry too, in real estate, that a lot of people are just constantly working. So I set a boundary where Sundays I don't work.
Okay.
I just don't. I try not to if I can.
I just don't. I try not to. I mean, sometimes I work
when I say I don't work, for some people, work is answering your phone or replying to an email, which might take you a couple minutes, but it does distract you and take you away from that moment. So if you're able to free your mind entirely for the day from all distractions, I think that's the healthiest thing to do mentally, and then also for the family. If you do have a family, you've got to allocate time to that, and it is hard working 9 to 5s and coming home late nights and kids in school, things like that, and trying to build something. I don't have an office where I clock in every day either, so my office is at home. So if my children are home and my wife's home and I'm working hard avidly with deadlines in the office for hours, up at 5 a.m. trying to beat them before they wake up at 6:30 or 7 so I could get 2 hours in, and I get up to go get a cup of water, some coffee, or go to the restroom, and they hear me and, hey, Dad, and it's,
that's it.
And it's like,
quiet time's over.
Yeah. So, and it's not about, because I don't desire to work. I don't desire just to be away, but you need to be away in those times to be focused.
Sure.
So setting those boundaries, I think, is important. The Sunday thing has been tremendous for me. My family goes to church Sunday mornings. Afterwards, we usually go somewhere for lunch. We spend time with maybe other family members or go to a park and really just try to do the least. And I think that's how you can really kind of wind down. And then come Monday, I know it's manic Monday. It's like, who knows what's coming the next day. But in that day, Sunday, it's time to, settle back. And again, and it's not always like that. If I book a wedding for a Sunday, I'm obligated to that wedding on that Sunday. I'm not going to necessarily turn a couple down just because I don't work Sundays. But
it's the exception. It's not the rule. I mean, you create the balance, and I think that's what we hear from others as well. Is you've got to figure out how the art, relaxes you. You can use that as part of your meditation. And as you're building that business, it's creating enough boundaries so that you're not mixing the two and kind of confusing where you are in that. Well, Casey James, you're an already talented artist here in the Tucson Gallery. We're fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
People are going to check you out at Pops Art all over social media. They're going to listen to this podcast. And you can, on our website, you can see pictures of what we've been talking about. And is it Pops Art? What's your website?
So it's just popsartgallery.com.
Okay. So you can go to tucsongallery.com or popsartgallery.com and check it out. While you're on the Tucson Gallery, you can also listen to this podcast and others of our fabulous, all Tucson-based artists. And that's a product of the Tucson Gallery. Every week we do a different event, and we're fortunate to have tremendous, talented, and generous with their time artists come in and share what they do with us. And, as you can see, getting some loud fans behind you here, getting a little rowdy here. So we're gonna wrap it up. But Casey, appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.